Welcome. You're listening to the Leading Hope Podcast. My name is VJ Williams, here with my friend and pastor, Kevin Jack. Thank you for joining us, taking time out of your day to become a better leader. If you're new, we release a new episode every Wednesday. We would love for you to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform. Do that every Wednesday. The easy way to remember is to subscribe, and then you get it downloaded. You don't have to worry about it. It's like automation. Automation is great. You love automation?
I love automation.
He loves automation. Also, share this with a friend on Facebook, YouTube, and Instagram. And please rate and review on Apple Podcast. Won't believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands. So many more leaders like you trying to get better like us. And visit leadinghope.online. You can get all the other episodes there and updates. Find out more about the Leading Hope community. Kevin, today we are episode 225. You've titled this Deliberately Entering Controversy. Oh, people just peek their ears. Just go, what? What'd you just say? Deliberately.
So, part of what this comes out of is we just as of this recording a couple weeks ago, started our politics series.
Purple.
Started our non-politics politics series, which...
what does that mean?
Well, it's about politics, but it's also not about politics.
Got it.
But if you want more information on that, all the resources are available at elephantsandDonkeys.church. Did I get that order correct?
You did get it right this time.
Good, because I kept wanting to call it donkeys and elephants. I don't know why.
Yeah.
I think just alphabetical.
Interesting.
So we started this series, which people were initially what are you doing? Why on earth would you do a series on politics in church? And the hilarity of it, just to be honest, is most of the criticism that we've received on it has been from people who obviously didn't watch the message. I don't know how to explain that any other way. People are like, this is wrong.
To be fair, it was there was not very many squeaky wheels.
No, there wasn't many.
Yeah.
Agreed entirely.
Yeah. But
I'll say it as even when we were talking to our team of just here's what we're going to do. It was met with a very healthy, why would you do that?
Yes.
You're just going to light a fire in the middle of a dry forest. This isn't going to go well.
That's a whole nother podcast. A very healthy, why are you doing this?
Yeah.
That's good.
But that's so what I want to jump into today is so what we chose to do is we chose to deliberately enter something that was controversial.
Correct.
No one made us. We did it on our own.
Right.
And to just kind of talk about that process of how you figure out what you do, how you figure out what you say on those different pieces.
Yeah. I love it.
And to maybe create that for people.
Okay.
Cool?
Yeah, let's get into it.
So I want to talk through just kind of 4 things that if you're going to deliberately enter controversy. Now, this is different. We're not going to jump into today when you're thrust in the middle of controversy.
Okay.
Because I just know...
That wouldn't be deliberate.
Yeah, exactly. But everyone who pastored through COVID and all the race riots of the time and stuff like that, people are I don't know what to do. This is not a helpful episode for you.
Yeah. What is COVID? Sorry.
It just blacked out those 2 years of my life.
Yes, exactly.
Have no more
it was
memories.
It's the Men in Black.
There it is. So I just want to I just want for people to say hey, there may be some times in which you need to deliberately step into something that is controversial.
Yeah.
Here's what you should be thinking through.
Great.
Cool.
Yeah.
So I think the most important point for today is just step 1 of this is to discern.
Okay.
Discern, is this worth stepping into or not? And if I could recategorize that, what is the tendency will be is your personal temperament is going to take over, and it has to be wisdom. It can't be temperament that's making this decision. And what I mean by temperament is there's some people, they want to keep the peace at all costs, and there's other people that they want to just jump into controversy.
Yeah.
And I'm the second. If there's a group that's arguing, I'm not some people are keep walking. I'm well, I want to see what's going to happen.
Yeah.
A fight might break out.
Yeah.
I'm staying.
Yeah.
I want to know. I want to know what's going on here.
How it ends? What's your curiosity?
I just want to know what happens.
Yeah.
It's just so interesting.
Yeah. That's good.
Cool.
Yeah.
And that's not just to acknowledge, like, the more peacemaker mode
Yeah.
will be no, we're going to upset people.
Yeah, you're not a candidate for someone who just scrolls endlessly on their phone. But if there are train wrecks and things like that, you might get caught in a wheel of.
You better believe it.
There we go.
Absolutely.
That's just, it's good context.
So then like the challenger side will just be like, oh, I'm just going to do it. I love it.
Yeah.
I love upsetting people. And to go, neither of those
No.
are helpful.
Unhelpful.
So the discerning piece, I think this is the decision that you make, is would not addressing this be more of a distraction than addressing it?
Got it.
So you're filtering your deliberate entrance based upon mission, not temperament, not anything else, not a desire for peace. And so just like our focus coming in here was to say, like, the election is going to be a distraction from our mission as a church. And we believe it will be less of a distraction and more of a helpful tool to build people's commitment to Jesus by deliberately entering into it instead of getting caught in reaction mode where we're either pinned into a corner where we've got to make a statement based upon events where none of our options are good, or we stay silent and everybody's kind of left up in the air and they don't have the clarity of who we are and what we're about.
Yeah. That's good. I mean, I love that as a filter.
Yeah.
Is there a part of you that wants to, or at least that's part of the decision tree, is if I don't address it, people will go on believing what they're doing is okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
It's on the other side of it. So
absolutely.
Good.
And I just think that, like, I just think your whole focus from that has to be mission.
Good.
What
That's
is our
great.
focus here? And then I just put as my last note on this section, like, don't enter controversy because of boredom. Do it because of purpose. Don't not enter controversy because of fear. Do it because of purpose.
Yeah.
And so I would just say, like, so for us with this Purple series, we are deliberately entering what is controversial to avoid a future heightened level of controversy.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
we know it'll make some waves,
Sure.
but we'd rather have initial waves that are predictable than a tsunami that we weren't prepared for.
It's great. Yep.
So then that's step one, is just really discern on that. Step 2.2 within this is to find a thought line. Now, I want to actually take the whole next episode to talk about this, because this is probably the most confusing piece for people and they don't really understand. So when I say find a thought line, what you're really trying to do, I just want to touch on it for a second now. You are trying to navigate this intellectual / emotional pathway through that does not, if I just say, like, the best feedback that I got was I got feedback from several people that said, you showed us what matters without clearly picking a side. I say, I'm thrilled.
Yeah.
I can't even begin to describe the level of which I'm thrilled with that response. That a lot of people, they view, and you let me know if I need to go deeper on this, because again, we'll take the whole next episode on this, is a lot of people feel like they have to use the language of the day or the existing arguments of the different sides. And I just want to say, like, on the front line, like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
If you're using other people's languages or you're using other people's arguments, you have not found a thought line that creates clarity and unites. All you've done is picked a side.
Yeah. So what were you thinking of your thought line as you were deliberately entering controversy?
What was the thought line?
Because you knew what those were on both sides and you were staying as far as you could from those specific things. What were you trying to do specifically when you're entering into that to create the thought line that you needed to do what you wanted so that you got the feedback that you expected?
Yeah.
Or that you desired?
What I'm really attempting to do is I'm trying to speak in a divisive issue to groups in a way of the more powerful thing that is uniting, while still addressing the flaws in thinking on both sides.
Yeah.
And so it's like,
How are you doing that without using their language, but making it clear that their language is tied into what you're saying?
it's really complex.
I think you do this really well. This is why I'm pressing you on this. I'm not really pressing you. I'm asking deeper questions just because you do this better than anyone that I've ever seen do this, especially in the church. And it's on purpose. Obviously, we're having an episode 2 weeks after you did it. So it's obviously something you've spent a lot of time and thought about.
Correct.
Which I don't think that's a whole nother thing. When you talk about a thought line, you have to spend a lot of time in thought.
Absolutely.
Which I know that you do. And I know how, if we're going to get in this to the next episode, I guess you'll have to come back for the next episode. But
Yeah. Maybe I'll just leave it here for today.
Yeah.
Of just to say, like, you have to have a unique thought line.
yeah, of course.
You cannot simply regurgitate arguments that you heard on YouTube Shorts or Instagram Reels, because now you're speaking divisively.
Even more in today's world where you have a soundbite every 15 seconds from somebody.
Yeah.
Even your people that you love are going to repeat back what they heard.
Yep.
And so you have to completely go the other route.
I don't ever enter in until I have the thought line.
It's good. That's
So
great. That's a great
so we'll
point.
get to that
That's a
more the
great
next
point.
episode.
I think that's really important, though.
Thank you.
Just as a subline to this whole thing. That's a really part. That's good. All right.
Yeah. Point number 3 is to reduce collateral damage. And so just to acknowledge that, to say, like, this is, again, we're trusting that we're speaking to a leadership audience. Okay. This is not how to build your Instagram following with rants.
Yeah.
This is not how to start the YouTube channel that just criticizes everyone. We trust that you're leaders, that you're actually building something. And so I think part of deliberately entering into controversy is to be aware of how do you reduce collateral damage, because there will be some damage. And so the thing that we went to, which was actually your idea, is I had the thought of, hey, what if we have all the messages written in advance so that way people know we're not reacting to July, September, November through this politics series. But then you had the idea of, let's buy our own website. Let's put them all on there. Let's put the other resources on there for other churches to use.
Yeah.
That way people know we're not just about benefiting our community, that we really are about benefiting other places and the unity of all the churches.
And that was just so important. Like, if we're going to spend the energy of if you're going to, and this is not specific to this episode, but this is an addition to it.
Yeah.
If you're going to spend the time completing a thought line and then actually trying to create a desired outcome, why not make that available to as many other people? And I think to date, I'm trying to look it up as you're speaking, I think we're about 26 churches.
Oh, that's awesome.
Every day there's a new church that has just, hey, I would love to know more about this topic and know more about what you're doing. Can you send us the resources?
That's incredible.
So, that's a lot.
That's a lot.
Like, that's way more than I even, I had no idea. Like, my expectation was like, let's provide it, see what happens.
Maybe a couple.
Yeah. So it's one of I know that's not this episode, but deliberately entering controversy also has more benefits than you may think.
Yes, because let's talk about that at the end. Let me finish my points, and then let's come back onto the because this is like
really screwing up
how
your
to
points,
do it.
aren't I?
Oh, you just like this is why I don't like points anyway. Because
That's exactly
Kevin,
right.
why don't you preach points? Because everybody messes them up.
That's right. Yeah, that's actually how podcast works. Anyway, go ahead.
Okay, point number 4, which will be the last one that we have for today, is I feel weird even saying this because this is not my kind of language.
Oh,
Ready?
Yep.
Ready? It's expect smoke.
Oh,
But it's the sense
like
of
a
like
smoke break.
stop it. Expect you're going to get some heat. Expect that people aren't going to like it. You're going to take some criticism on it. But to say there's like, even if you have,
This is really important.
even if I've got a perfect thought line, which there's no such thing, but if I feel great about the thought line that I have, I don't know how to say this any other way. There's 2 factors on this, and I think you need to acknowledge both. When you're entering controversy, you're entering idolatry.
Yes.
You're entering things that people have misplaced their faith, trust, and affection in.
Yep.
And so when you do that, on the one side, you're not perfect. And so you're going to mishandle it.
Yep.
And so there's going to be some things that you did off. On the other side, is when you expose someone idols, the response is not always,
No.
thank you so much.
Yeah.
And so just to acknowledge, like, you can do this for the right reasons. You should enter. You did enter. You did it as well as you possibly could, and people still don't like it.
Yeah.
And you should expect that.
Absolutely.
And I was laughing, like we said earlier, like, we didn't get a bunch of criticism. And it did make me laugh because the criticism we did get was mostly from people who obviously didn't watch the message.
Yeah.
They're like, why do you keep doing this? It was like, we actually addressed every single point that you made in the message.
Yeah.
But there's still going to be negativity surrounding it.
Yeah. I mean, people will always, that's, people are always going to try to find something. That's fine. I mean, that's perfectly fine. Actually, from my vantage point, they self-identify at that point.
Absolutely.
Which is great because now I can have a conversation, which is the point I wanted to make with what you're saying here is you didn't say this is episode 225 deliberately creating controversy.
Yep.
Right? So it's entering it, right? So there's going to be, you're already entering in something that's divisive. I think the important thing is the goals, and maybe, are you getting in, I don't want to get ahead. Are you getting into the goals of this?
No.
Okay.
This is what I want to talk about now.
Yeah, because the goals really is that, can we have a conversation, please? Instead of just thinking what we're all doing is okay.
Yep.
All, not anybody individual, right?
Yep.
Because this enters us, if you enter the controversy, you can maybe create a conversation.
Yep.
And that's the goal. It's like most people want to get on their social media and talk about it, and it's not going to be productive.
The thing that I have found is even if and why I want to present people this kind of process and these different ideas is I've entered into things before and just had the thought line. And because I didn't discern should I enter into, because I didn't reduce collateral damage, I sometimes created more controversy than was ever necessary.
Yeah.
If I just be blunt, this is what dumb leaders are doing today on Twitter.
Yeah.
And any other social media network is they'll just shoot something off that they may be right, but it's but you're actually creating far more chaos around you, and they may have other purposes that I'm completely unaware of. Sure. So it's not helpful for me to judge because I don't know exactly what they're attempting to do.
Yeah.
But I think being clear on what you're attempting to do only benefits you.
Yeah. The unique thing about what you're trying to do with Elephants and Donkeys.church specifically is let's find the actual bigger picture.
Yeah.
There's something else happening besides what you see.
Yeah.
What you talk about. Right. And the big thing that came out of that, not to, you know what I mean, was the big thing that people just shared all over the place, and I don't want to, but it was the statement that you said, we're fighting over this thing and we're walking right past the Samaritan on the road. What I mean? It wasn't that. It was but we don't care about people's relationship with Jesus. We care if they agree with us politically.
Yep.
And it's that's really important.
If I could speak of this in just different contexts so that people can understand how this plays out other than just politics,
right,
is that this is what we also happened with the name change.
Yeah.
We deliberately entered into something that was controversial that could create frustration and anger. We walked through this same process of discern, thought line, reduce collateral damage. Our belief within here was also not just for future purposes in terms of clarity and brand. We also believe for our existing congregation that even though this would create some smoke, that overall it would be beneficial for the church because it would create more clarity on who we were, not who we used to be.
Yeah.
And so I just say it as I don't want people to pigeonhole this in terms of, oh, this is only on politics. This is only dealing with agenda and issues. This is every single time I heard the statement, leadership is disappointing people at a rate they can handle.
That's great.
Which I love so much of that. Other parts of it, I'm there's so much more to it than just that.
Of course.
But to say it is there are 1,000 other ways to use this deliberately entering controversy that are not national media headlines. They're unique to you and your context and what you're seeking to do.
That's good. I want you to end this episode from your vantage point of, hey, I'm a leader. I know that it's important for me to deliberately enter into controversy outside of the 4 points, which are fantastic. What is your advice?
Do not make that decision in a corner room by yourself.
Okay.
It is in the midst of the community and 1,000 pulse points that decision is able to be made.
That's great. That's all we've got time for. 225, deliberately entering controversy. Thank you for joining us, taking time out of your day to become a better leader. If you're new to the podcast or haven't yet subscribed, it mean the world to us. If you did that now, also post about it, rate and review, or both. You won't believe how that helps get this podcast in the hands of so many more leaders just like you, trying to get better like us. If you want any information on all those resources, if you're a church, you can visit elephantsandonkeys.church. Be in the show notes. Check that out. And we would love to hear from you of the stories of how the podcast is working in your life and business. If you have a story, visit leadinghope.online. And remember, everyone has 20 minutes to learn to become a better leader. Make it count. Woo!